Well, 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 well. Wonderful, wonderful to see you. Have you forgotten what it's like to get in your car and drive somewhere on a rainy night to find a place to park and all of it? Yeah, it's hard. Are you worn out? Well, I'm delighted to see you. Who is that masked man? I'm Peter Palermo. I'm the executive director here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Sheldon. I'm so thrilled to see all of you all. I said to somebody out front today, I feel like it's my wedding day or something. I'm so excited to see you all. Thank you for coming. Please enjoy yourself. A couple of house rules. Please keep your mask on unless you're taking a sip of your drink. Silence your phones. Remember, you got to silence your phones, please. We're thrilled to have a couple of magnificent musicians with us tonight, and I want to thank them in particular for coming out and being with us tonight. This is the first thing we've done for the public since November of last year, so we are very happy to see you, and we hope to see a lot more of you in the coming months. So thank you for your support. Thank you for those of you who bought a ticket a year ago and held on to it. And we're very happy to see you. So now I'm going to get off the stage and welcome Bjorn Ranheim and Peter Henderson. They're going to play Boccherini's, the first piece they're going to play is the Boccherini Sonata in A major, and it has 3 movements. I'm sorry we don't have any paper programs for you tonight, but we'll get there. 3 movements. Thank you all. Enjoy yourselves.
Thank you. You have absolutely no idea how great that sound is to have applause when we play. It's been so long since Peter and I have actually played for real live people. So thank you for being here. Thank you to the Sheldon for pushing forward and being a constant beacon for wonderful culture and music and connectedness in our community. Absolutely. So this evening has an overarching idea, and that is the legacy of the wonderful Spanish cellist, legendary cellist, Pablo Casals, or Pau Casals, as he would have been known in his native Catalonia, which is the region of Spain where he is from. And Pablo Casals, if you are not aware of him, was truly one of the greatest cellists of all time, definitely of his generation. But he was not just a cellist. He was a humanitarian. He was a musician. He loved music. He loved teaching. He loved composing. He loved making music with friends. He was an absolute beacon for what a modern performer could be. And he came from fairly humble beginnings in Vendrell, Spain. His father was an organist and was from Spain. His mother was actually from Puerto Rico. And he found a love of music at a very early age. But it wasn't until a troupe of musicians came through his small town. One of them was a cellist, and Casals was absolutely taken by it. And he insisted that his dad make him a cello out of a gourd and a broom handle, and the rest is really history. He took off very quickly, and his promise and his talent was recognized very early on. And he went on to be, actually, he had a wonderful patronage of the Queen of Spain. And she took care that he would be able to study at the conservatory in Madrid, and then on to Brussels and then Paris. And so he really became an international musician. But I'll speak more about his humanitarian efforts a little bit later. One gift in particular of many that Casals gave the world, and in particular cellists, was the Bach cello suites. These works, of which I'm going to play the first suite, the G major suite, are some of the most beloved music in all of music. But they were not so when Casals found them. Casals was a young man, and he was at a second-hand shop in Barcelona with his father, and he found this old tattered music on a back shelf and purchased it, and it turns out it was the cello suites. And Pablo Casals then took 13 years to live with those pieces, this incredible wealth of music. And he lived with them, he worked on them, he played them, but he never performed them for 13 years. And it's a testament to how deeply he cared for these suites. He then brought them to the world. They were completely unknown. They were thought to be maybe exercises or etudes, but definitely not part of the mainstream repertoire. So Casals brings these works to us, and now, as I said, they are some of the most hallowed pieces of music that are able to conjure the best of humanity and the most beauteous side of our nature. So as a way to kind of begin this program, I thought a great place would be to start with Bach, take it back to the very beginning, and I will play now the first suite for unaccompanied cello in G major. It has a prelude to begin it, which I'm sure all of you will know if you don't already. It's very, very well known. And then there's a series of dance movements that are old Baroque dances that Bach set so beautifully for the unaccompanied cello. And while you listen to these movements, even though I am only one person up here, you will hear the complexity and the depth of Bach's compositional skill in that he creates an entire sound world with melodic and harmonic and rhythmic driving forces, all within just one instrument. So I hope you'll enjoy the G major cello suite of J.S. Bach. Well, now, as they say, for something completely different, we have a wonderful couple that are doing incredible things for new music and culture in general throughout the St. Louis region. Dr. Jeannie and Rex Singfield sponsor a new music a composer from University of Missouri in Columbia. And for each of these concerts on the Classics series, a piece is commissioned by a student composer for whatever instrument is playing that concert. And so realizing that this was St. Patrick's Day, and we have absolutely no Irish music for you, we managed to find a student composer, at least with the last name Fitzpatrick. And so I would like to introduce Daniel Fitzpatrick to the stage to tell us a little bit about his piece that we are going to give the world premiere of in just a moment.
All right, well, I am Daniel Fitzpatrick, and I'm a master's student at University of Missouri studying composition. And first, I would like to say I am very thankful to the Singfields who have made this commission possible. And, you know, their generous donations are really just making the lives of so many students, you know, just so much better. But anyways, As far as this piece is concerned, the piece is titled Poem of the Phantom Queen, and it's based on Gaelic mythology. And the Phantom Queen, more popularly referred to as the Morgan, is a figure in Gaelic mythology that represents war, fate, and death. And in this piece, I'm focusing mainly on the events from one text called The Battle of Mage Tyriad, in which the Fomorians are attacking, and these are hideous monsters from under the sea. And when the Morgan arrives on the battlefield, she recites a poem that compels them with fear to go back to where they came from. And then she recites another poem that lauds the victory and foretells the end of the world. And so it's quite a ride of emotions. And throughout this piece, you'll hear Irish folk music mixed with contemporary classical techniques, which really make the cello and the piano transcend their traditional roles in a lot of respects and become more like percussion oftentimes. And one such technique, is you'll see Bjorn, oftentimes using his bow to create these noisy, really abrasive rhythmic things, which is referred to as chopping, which is more of a folk technique. But in this sense, it's used more in a contemporary way. And then a technique in the piano part, which is quite fascinating, is you'll see Peter reaching in to the piano to strum while he's holding keys down. Yeah, and that's essentially making it to where only certain notes will resonate to where you get these harmonies, and it's called the Aeolian harp technique, which was created by Henry Cowell. But anyways, I hope you enjoy this interesting mix of Irish folk music and contemporary classical. Thank you very much.
Just needed a couple seconds to collect ourselves. Anyway, bravo, Daniel. Thank you for that. It's always fun to hear a new musical voice. So, well, we will now get back to Pablo Casals. As I mentioned, he was a humanitarian. In many regards, he had deep convictions, and he lived those, and he really breathed them. And when in the 30s, mid-30s, there was a military coup in Spain, and Francisco Franco took over power. And at that moment, out of protest, Pablo Casals went into self-imposed exile, first up in the Catalonian region of France, and eventually he settled in Puerto Rico, where his wife was from, Marta. And he vowed at a few different points that he would no longer perform in public until the Franco regime was toppled. And unfortunately, that didn't happen until after his death. But luckily for the musical world, he did not hold true to not performing in public. He actually did come back to the stage and lived an incredibly full life, full of education, composing, conducting, performing around the world. He touched many, many lives through the Casals Festival that started in France but then moved to Puerto Rico. And he spent many summers at Marlborough. He helped to influence an entire generation of musicians and performers. And for that, we are eternally grateful. There's a personal connection that I wanted to tell you about. My young daughter, Inga, is a first grader, and one of her classmates has a connection to Pablo Casals that I thought was so cool. There's a St. Louis connection. This young girl's grandfather was the godson of Pablo Casals. And I've seen some very, very neat old family photos from them. And I believe there may be some people who are related to that family who are watching from Puerto Rico. And so I just wanted to say a special greeting to you and thank you for tuning in. And thank you for the legacy that your wonderful family member was able to bring to this world. So we are now going to end the performance with a series of 5 different short pieces, all of which were hallmarks of Casals' recital and performance legacy. The first of these, we'll do 2 and then we'll take a little break and I'll talk about the others. But the first is a slow movement from a concerto by Goltermann, who himself was a very fine cellist. And it's just a beautiful movement called the Cantilena. And then we'll follow that with a Mazurka by David Popper. David Popper was also a cellist and a wonderful composer and a wonderful pedagogue. And so there's a great connection here to this performance. So we will play now the Cantilena by Goltermann, followed by the Mazurka of David Popper. Thank you so much. So that is a piece written by a cellist, definitely for a cellist. I think if David Popper and I had met in real life, we'd probably really gotten along well. The thing I love about these pieces, these were such standards, and they were sometimes entire recitals were filled with just these beautiful short little vignettes, more like as Peter and I were saying, like a variety show in a way, as opposed to a more museumified kind of concert experience that we are sometimes used to. And so it's really fun as a performer to get to know some of these works a little bit better. We are now going to play a beautiful work, not by a cellist, but transcribed for cello by Pablo Casals. This is the beautiful Après, rêve by Gabriel Fauré. And then we'll follow that with another of David Popper's works. This one is called Vito, and it means the Spanish dance. And it's a really lovely, lovely piece. So we're going to play these next two for you. Thank you all so much. We have had such a pleasure playing for you. This is literally the first time we've played for people in so many months, and it's just the exchange of energy is so important to what we do. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here tonight. So as I said, Pablo Casals lived in exile for the remainder of his life. But luckily, once Franco did leave power, Pablo Casals' remains were brought back to Catalonia, and he is buried there. And one amazing thing of many that he did is he ended every single performance that he gave with the piece that he wrote. It's a Catalan folk song, the Song of the Birds, but he wrote a beautiful version of it for cello and piano. And so we felt that a perfect way to end the concert tonight would be the way that he would end the concert. And we'll now play the Song of the Birds, and it's by Casals. So thank you again so much for being here and for being such a wonderful audience.